Today, we have to get one broken intake manifold out of each head on the 5.8 liter small block in our 93 F-150 here. And I really want to do it without pulling the heads off this engine, even if it means shoving a cutting torch under the firewall. I know what you're thinking. He wouldn't really do that, would he? It's going to be fun. Let's get after it. Now, I know I can't cover every possible way of removing a broken bolt. A lot of it's going to depend on where the bolt is, exactly how it's broke, how big it is, etc. So if you have any suggestions, any tips, any advice for removing a broken bolt, leave that in the comments down below. Not only do I learn from you guys, but other people are going to find this video later on and they'll be able to learn from your advice as well as what they see me doing. Now, these are some of the tools I'm going to use in this video. You can judge for yourself how well they do or don't work. I'm going to link to everything in the description where you guys can go check it out on Amazon if you're interested. If you buy it through the link, they do throw the channel a small percentage for sending you over there. It's a way to support the channel that doesn't cost you anything extra for tools that you really probably need to have in your toolbox anyway if you're dealing with older vehicles or if you live in an area where rust is a real concern. So before you start taking stuff apart, if you think you're going to have a problem, or sometimes even if you don't, spray it in penetrating oil. For sure, if you do break a bolt off like we have here and you have to deal with the aftermath, penetrating oil is going to be your best friend. Now, everybody has their own preference, from the big name companies you find at the auto parts stores to homemade concoctions, and I can't sit here and tell you which one's going to work the best in your exact situation. What I can say is I've had really good luck with Aerocroil by Kano Labs. We started soaking these down before we tried taking it apart, and I have been soaking them just like that 2 to 3 times a day, every single day, for about the last 2 weeks. Once you got your penetrating oil doing its thing, now we get to deal with the actual broken bolt itself. We're not in as bad of a spot as we could be because this one is not broken off below the surface of the head, because the head is angled here and the threads are a little angled. There's enough sticking up that we can see it and get to it pretty easily here in the front. There's not enough sticking up for us to get something all the way around it, which unfortunately prevents being able to use something like this external broken bolt extractor. These come in a variety of sizes, but the way they work is you put it over the broken part of the bolt or stud you want to extract, you twist, it grabs, and hopefully it pulls that broken bolt or stud right out with it. We don't have enough sticking up to be able to do that, so we're going to have to go with another method. Now at this point, even though it may seem a little counterintuitive, a lot of guys would reach for the welder, and that could actually be a really good idea in the right situations. When you're welding out a bolt, what you do is you go to your broken fastener, and I'm going to use this good fastener here just because it's easier to demonstrate on, but you would put a nut over it and then simply weld the nut on. Once you weld the nut on, you have not only a solid place to grab it with a wrench or maybe a socket and try to turn the broken piece out, but the heat from welding also can help break everything loose by heating parts and then letting them cool off. I've done this in the past on broken bolt. I've had a lot of success with it, but we're not going to do that first, at least not on this. The reason I'm scared to start out that way is because if you look in here, we're working on the side of the head, and this is where the intake manifold actually seals onto the head itself. This is a gasket mating surface, and if we start welding, I'm really concerned not about heat warping anything, but about spatter from the weld damaging that machined surface where that gasket has to seal. It's not a huge concern, but it is enough of one. I don't want to start with that option. We're going to start by drilling these bolts out, but it's not as simple as it sounds. If you just grab a drill and a drill bit and go at it, you're really not doing yourself any favors. So you need to take a couple of extra steps if you really want to set yourself up for success. And the first one is to flatten the bolt you need to get out. Wherever it's broken, it's going to be kind of rough and kind of jagged. So come in here with a grinder or a die grinder, whatever fits. I was able to get the grinder in here, but flatten that off smooth it out. When it breaks off and it's jagged and uneven, if you just come in on top of that with a drill bit, the drill bit is going to want to walk and move and dance around and not stay put, which is going to lead to your hole being off center, which is going to create a problem when you go to use an extractor. If you have to drill that hole out larger, you're going to be limiting yourself because you're going to get to one side of the broken bolt before you get to the other. After you flatten it out, there's one more thing we need to do to keep the drill bit from dancing around. We need to come in here and center punch this bolt. Okay, so before you grab the drill, are you using the right drill bits? This is something that a lot of people don't realize is even an option. These are left-handed or reverse drill bits. You clamp these in your drill just like a regular bit, but then you put the drill in reverse and it cuts backwards. The reason that's important is because a lot of times on broken bolts, they may not be seized in there or corroded in there that badly. A left-handed drill bit, not only does it make the hole you need regardless, but it has a really high likelihood of being able to grab that bolt and actually unscrew it while it's trying to drill the hole. I've heated and cooled this thing a few times off camera with the torch, so now we're ready to grab some extractors and try to pull this bolt out. But there's a couple of different types of extractors. This is what everybody is probably the most familiar with. This is what most people know as an easy out. The problem with these is as you're turning it, if you can see there on the end of the, I guess you'd call the threads, as this is screwing itself into a hole, it's expanding. And the problem is the more you screw it, the more it expands, which forces the bolt out and actually increases pressure on whatever you're trying to get it out of. That's why easy outs and extractors like this are known for breaking. These are made out of some kind of super hardened material. If and when you ever break one, these things can be a real nightmare to get out because you really can't drill them. Not with anything you're going to find in the average home shop anyway. What we're going to use is this, or at least this is what we're going to try first. This is just a straight extractor. You tap this in with a hammer, and as you can see, it's got little flutes there on the edges that bite into the bolt. The nice thing about this is as we turn it, it's going to try to bite in, but it's not going to try to expand or get any wider or any larger, so it won't be putting any additional pressure on the bolt as we turn it. Oh, come on, baby. Do you guys see that? It turned a little. Don't get greedy. More oil. If you try to go too far, you'll break stuff. Small moves. I think we're good now. I hope. Oh, look at that. We got the broken bolt right here out of the passenger side head really pretty easily, all things considered. Now we're going to try to get the broken bolt out of the back of the driver's side head, which is going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Oh, that's bad. Yep, that's bad. Do you remember when I said you really couldn't drill these extractors? Well, that's because they're made of some super hardened steel, and this one is broken in a really, really terrible spot. So while they can't be drilled, they are steel, so they're still susceptible to, let's just say, more forceful methods when necessary. See there? Left-hand drill bit to the rescue. Oops. Drill hit the back of the firewall.
But there it is. 1, Croyle is good stuff. Get some. 2, left-handed drill bits are worth the money. Get a set. Check out the links in the description.
After the Croyle and the left-handed drill bit, with a little bit of help from the torch burning out that broken extractor, this actually came out pretty easily. So be sure to check out Croyle and the left-handed drill bits down in the description. I've got an engine to put back together, so subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Hit the like button. Help out the YouTube algorithm. That tells YouTube you're enjoying this type of content. Thank you for watching, and more later.